Hello and welcome to this flashcard revision video on key quotations from A Christmas Carol. Use this video like active revision. When you see a quotation, pause the video and ask, what theme, what method, what is Dickens's message? What word level analysis would I engage in? Okay, let's begin. Solitary as an oyster. Pause here. What does this suggest about Scrooge? This simile presents Scrooge as hard, closed, and emotionally unreachable. But an oyster, remember, can contain a pearl, so Dickens hints that Scrooge may still have hidden goodness. Solitary child neglected by his friends. Pause and link this to Scrooge's past. Dickens shows that Scrooge's loneliness began in childhood. This makes him more sympathetic as a character and also suggests that cruelty can grow from emotional neglect. Small fire and feeble fire. What do these fires suggest? The weak fire symbolizes Scrooge's lack of generosity. He can provide warmth, but he chooses not to. The cold is both physical and emotional. Darkness is cheap. Pause here. What does this reveal about Scrooge's priorities? Scrooge prefers darkness because it costs nothing. Dickens shows that greed has shaped even the way Scrooge lives. Dismal little cell. Pause here. What does this suggest about Bob Cratchit's working conditions? Bob's workplace sounds like a prison. The noun cell suggests confinement, control, and oppression. All the earlier. Pause here. What does this show about Scrooge as an employer? Scrooge resents giving Bob even one day off, even at Christmas. He only thinks in terms of labour and money. No more work tonight. Pause here. Who says this and why is it so important? Fezziwig is the opposite of Scrooge. He uses his power as boss, as employer, to create happiness, showing that employers can be both successful and humane. The happiness he gives is quite as great as if it cost a fortune. Pause here. Think about Dickens's message about money. Scrooge realizes that kindness does not have to be expensive. Fezziwig's generosity is emotional as well as financial. The cold within him froze his old features. Pause here. What is Dickens doing with physical description? Dickens makes Scrooge's inner coldness visible on his body. His appearance reflects his moral condition. All in a glow. Pause here. Who is being described? Fred is associated with warmth, life, and joy. He contrasts directly with Scrooge's coldness. Bah! Humbug! Pause here. What attitude does this capture? This phrase captures Scrooge's rejection of Christmas. He dismisses joy, generosity, and community as nonsense. Bah humbug, again. Remember this as a shorthand for Scrooge's starting point. At the beginning, he's emotionally closed. Dickens presents this attitude as comic, but also morally wrong. Boiled with his own pudding. Pause here. What is so strange about this image? Scrooge uses violent Christmas imagery. Dickens makes him sound ridiculous, but also hostile to joy itself. A good time. A kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. Pause here. Who gives us this view of Christmas? Fred defines Christmas as a moral season. The list of adjectives links Christmas with kindness, forgiveness, and charity. Fellow passengers to the grave. Pause here. Why is this such an important phrase? Fred reminds Scrooge that rich and poor alike share the same human journey. The phrase challenges Scrooge's class prejudice. I can't afford to make idle people merry. Pause here. What does idle reveal? Scrooge assumes that poor people are lazy. Dickens uses him to criticise cruel Victorian attitudes towards poverty. Decrease the surplus population. Pause here. Why is this so shocking? Scrooge, in Malthusian fashion, reduces poor people to numbers. Dickens is attacking a society that treats human life as disposable. A great many back payments. Pause here. What does this show about Scrooge's change? Scrooge's redemption becomes practical. He doesn't just apologise, he tries to repair the harm he has caused. Melancholy dinner, melancholy tavern, melancholy room. What mood does Dickens create? The repetition of melancholy creates a sense of emptiness and sadness. Scrooge has wealth, yes, but no happiness. It's not my business. Pause here. What is Scrooge's moral failure? Scrooge believes he is only responsible for himself. Dickens presents this selfish attitude as spiritually dangerous. Mankind was my business. Pause here. Why is this one of the novella's central moral lessons? Marley teaches us that business is not just about money. Real business is caring for humanity. I wear the chain I forged in life. Pause here. What does the chain symbolize? Marley's chain symbolizes his selfish choices. The verb forged shows that he's created his own punishment. They are man's. Who are they? Ignorance and want belong to all humanity. Dickens makes poverty a collective social responsibility. Yellow, meagre, ragged, scowling, wolfish. Pause here. What is the effect of this list? The adjectives are disturbing and shocking. Dickens presents the children, ignorance and want, as vulnerable, but also as a warning about social neglect. Have they no refuge or resource? Pause here. What change do we see in Scrooge? Scrooge asks a compassionate question. He's showing he's beginning to care about the vulnerable. Are there no prisons? Pause here. Why does the ghost repeat this? The ghost throws Scrooge's own words back at him. Dickens makes Scrooge confront his earlier cruelty. Another idol has displaced me, a golden one. Pause here. Who says this and why? Bell suggests that Scrooge worships money. The noun idle presents wealth as a false god. The master passion, gain. Pause here. What does this suggest about greed? Greed controls Scrooge. Money is no longer just something he wants, it has become his ruling passion. Covetous old sinner. Pause here. What kind of language is Dickens using? Dickens frames greed in religious language. Scrooge's selfishness is a moral and spiritual failure. Brave in ribbons. Pause here. What does this show about Mrs. Cratchit? Mrs. Cratchit has little money, but still manages to create celebration and dignity. The word brave suggests her resilience. As good as gold. Pause here. What kind of value is linked to Tiny Tim? Tiny Tim represents moral value, not financial value. Dickens suggests true worth is based on goodness. Happy, grateful, pleased with one another. Pause here. What do the Cratchits represent? The Cratchits are poor but emotionally rich. Dickens contrasts their warmth with Scrooge's lonely wealth. Vacant seat. Pause here. Why is this image so powerful? The empty chair symbolises Tiny Tim's possible death. Dickens makes poverty personal, emotional, and preventable. Second father. Pause here. What does this show about Scrooge's redemption? Scrooge becomes part of the Cratchits' family life. He changes from exploiter to protector. Neglected grave. Pause here. What future does Scrooge see? Scrooge sees the consequence of a selfish life. His grave is neglected because he has built no loving relationships. I will honour Christmas in my heart. Pause here. Why is this a key redemption quotation? Scrooge promises to internalise and embody the Christmas spirit. Christmas becomes, therefore, a permanent moral attitude. Keep it all the year. Pause here. What does this add? Scrooge's transformation must last beyond Christmas Day. Dickens suggests true redemption requires sustained action. Shut up hearts. Pause here. What does Fred mean? Fred suggests people close their hearts for most of the year. Scrooge's journey in the text is the opening of a shut-up heart. Quite a baby. Pause here. Why does Dickens describe Scrooge this way? Scrooge is presented as reborn. The phrase suggests innocence, renewal, and a second moral life, a second opportunity. Light as a feather. Pause here. What does this contrast with? Scrooge is no longer weighed down by greed, symbolised by Marley's chains. This, of course, contrasts with Marley's heavy chains from earlier in the text. Fluttered and so glowing with his good intentions. Pause here. What mood has Dickens created? Scrooge is now full of energy, warmth, and excitement. His goodness now wants to become action. A most illustrious laugh. Pause here. Why is laughter so important? At the start, Scrooge growls. At the end, he laughs. His changed sound reflects his changed soul. The father of a long, long line of brilliant laughs. Pause here. What does this suggest? Scrooge's happiness will continue. Laughter has now become part of his new identity. Hard and sharp as flint. Pause here. What does this simile suggest? Scrooge is hard, cold, and dangerous. But flint can create sparks, so Dickens hints that warmth might still be possible. Growling. Pause here. What does this animalistic sound suggest about Scrooge? Scrooge seems hostile and unapproachable. His lack of warmth makes him seem less than fully human. Double locked. Pause here. What does the locked door symbolize? Scrooge locks himself away from the world. The door symbolizes his closed or shut up heart. Foggy withal. Pause here. What might the fog represent or symbolize? The fog reflects or symbolizes Scrooge's moral blindness. He cannot see clearly, physically or spiritually. No fog, no mist. Pause here. What has changed? When Scrooge changes, the weather changes too. Dickens makes Scrooge's moral awakening and transformation visible through the setting. Golden sunlight and heavenly sky. Pause here. What is the effect of this light imagery? The light suggests blessing, hope, and renewal. Scrooge has moved from darkness to moral illumination. We hope you found this a useful video, helping you practice, revise, and recap those key quotations from across A Christmas Carol. Very best of luck in your paper 1 on the 11th of May.